Hello, this is Joshua from Gongs Unlimited with an assembly video for the Tote of Life 60-inch gong stand. A gong stand for gongs 50 inches to 60 inches in size. Very large gongs and a very large stand that's very easy to assemble. Parts to the stand are two feet with casters, 2 vertical uprights, 2 archway connectors, and 1 long horizontal piece. All of the bars and tubes have the hardware already installed into its receiver. So there are no tools necessary. It's all hand tight, notch and pop things together. So first with the feet, those assemble to these vertical bars, which have a wing bolt on both ends. The end that has a large hole is the bottom. The end that has the little hook that is the hook for the mallet is the top. And before you start, it's really smart to make sure all of these wing bolts are not down tight, because they need to be out so that the tube that slides in doesn't get blocked by that bolt being inside. So loosen these. You don't want them to come out. The hook faces the front of the stand. The wing bolt will be the back of the stand, and you want this large hole to be running horizontally or perpendicularly to the foot here. And in this one, tighten that bolt all the way down by hand. When I get to the rest of the connectors, we'll leave them pretty loose, but the foot, you can go ahead and tighten that. So that's ready, and I'm gonna set this down like a wing to one side and install the other one. And then lay it down. And it is a very large stand, no tools required. It could be very helpful to have a second hand holding one end of the bar, but it's also very easy to assemble this solo. The next piece is the really long crossbar that has these large ring bolts installed on these threaded bolts. Go ahead and take those all the way off. And then when you look at the end with this large bolt coming out, that bolt is not center to the square. It's higher here, and there's more space down here. To the higher point in the tube is the top. So you want the larger space below the bolts to be pointed down when you slide this in. Bring the bolts all the way through that large hole, holding this upright and at a slight angle so that can rest on the floor over there. And then that large ring. And I'm gonna tighten this relatively tight, but I will come back and extra tighten it right at the end. Slide that down, rest the horizontal on the ground, bring the other post up, and lift this up to its level, and slide that bolt all the way through. And then the second ring. Now that the whole thing is up, level, and square, I like to shake it a little bit to make sure that it's set in its square position this way to the vertical post. And then kind of hold here, just feel that it's straight, and then tighten. And then we go up. At this level, the wing bolt on the back side, we want to again bring it out so it's not set inside. You run your finger down the inside to make sure there's no bolt sticking out to catch. And then we'll come to these overhead tubes. There are 2 arched pieces, each one with a big hook for the gong. One of them has, at one end, a large sleeve with the Tote of Life logo on it. That'll be the first piece that you want to set into the post. And while it's here, make sure this, again, is turned out and there's not a bolt in the way on the inside. There is the head of a screw mounted to the post. That is the stop point for how far this goes down into the vertical post. Just drop it down until it hits that stop point. I'm not going to tighten this yet. I'm going to let it get to where I can feel it touch, and I'm going to back it off. So that's loose. And then from this side, make sure that the gong hook is facing the same direction as that gong hook, facing forward. And to one side of this post, holding the bottom here, I'm just going to run that top up into that top collar. kind of wiggle it in. It's not set all the way. I'll get up there soon. This end, same as the other end, comes in and drops down till it hits that stop. I'll come up to the center and then push those two together until I hear it lock in. And there is a stop on the inside. And at this point at the top, I can tighten the wing bolts all the way tight. And then back down. And remember, both of these wing bolts are still loose. Wiggle it a little bit to make sure everything's nice and snug and tight and square. And down to that stop. And then tighten these. So as you're using a gong 50 to 60 inches, there'll be a lot of vibrations, and there's a chance for things that are threaded in to wiggle back out. So you do want to get this as tight as you can. You can also use an adjustable wrench to catch the wing of the nut, and use the leverage of the wrench to just tighten that. And then the last step is to make sure these down here are tight as well. And if you want to make sure that this is really tight, you can always put a screwdriver to tighten it down, but don't over tighten with too much leverage. There is a very grand stand for a 60-inch gong. Thank you.